More than 600 Palestinians have now been killed while waiting for food in Gaza in just 5 weeks. They're dying at US and Israeli-backed distribution sites run by the controversial Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. The UN has described them as death traps. Al Jazeera's Moath al-Kahlout reports now from Gaza City in northern Gaza.
In Gaza, death can be found in every direction. Women living in the north of the Strip do not have the luxury of staying behind and must race men to try and secure food. Wafa Ubaid cares for a family of 5, her children and elderly parents. She sorts through what she managed to pick up off the ground at a Gaza Humanitarian Foundation distribution site, and tomorrow she will have to do it all again.
I'm divorced and I'm taking care of 5 people. I have no food, I have no water, and no one takes care of me. I'm obligated to go and get humanitarian aid. But I failed every time because of the attacks on those waiting to get food. I do my best to at least get what's left of people's food to make something for my children. Before I used to go and beg some families to help me, but they couldn't offer me anything, and I'm obligated to face death every day for my children.
There seems to be no end to people's desperation here, and trying to get food can come with a high price. Families fleeing danger lead a dangerous existence at the whims of Israeli soldiers, often forced to make impossible choices to survive: death by bullets or death by hunger. Scenes like these have become a regular occurrence. The Israeli military routinely opens fire on people waiting for food at GHF distribution sites. Many Palestinians have been gunned down in recent weeks. Khalil says he was crawling on his stomach to avoid the bullets, but the intensity of the fire was too great, the cover too little. He was shot in the leg.
I have 2 young daughters who are always hungry. I must bring them some food to eat and some water to drink. I didn't have money to buy food and diapers, so I was forced to face death to get some humanitarian aid. Nothing is easy in our life in Gaza. Our food is mixed with our blood. I got almost nothing except 1 diaper and I was injured. I will welcome death if I can get some food for my family.
People here say Israeli forces use aid points as a deception to trap and kill Palestinians. Khalil says people are risking and losing their lives for as little as a kilo of food. With nothing to feed his children, he prepares to go again, saying goodbye to his daughter, knowing it could be the last time he sees her. Moath al-Kahlout, Al Jazeera, Gaza City, Palestine.
Speak now to Toby Cadman. He's an international human rights lawyer and a specialist in the field of war crimes. He joins us from London. So, Toby, the Israelis have denied that they are deliberately targeting people seeking aid. But if we just look at the facts, 600 Palestinians have been killed in 5 weeks at these distribution points run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. So my question is, can the GHF as a humanitarian organization be held legally responsible under international law for gross negligence or reckless operations that directly or indirectly led to these civilians' deaths?
Thank you. So the short answer to that is yes, they can. Of course, depending upon the circumstances. I mean, one of the questions which is being asked right now is the question of GHF's neutrality in providing humanitarian assistance, under whose control they are, what orders they're being given. But as we see, the targeting of civilians, and particularly those who are seeking aid, is relentless, and we've seen hundreds of casualties so far. It will be up to the leadership of GHF to be able to argue that they are providing humanitarian assistance through neutrality, and that they are not involved in any attacks on the civilians, which is becoming increasingly difficult for them to establish when we look at the fact of the very close connections between the US administration and also the Netanyahu government. The GHF has. And so, of course, what we've seen is repeated attacks. Now, they're putting themselves forward as the only authority that can provide humanitarian assistance through neutrality, when we see that it certainly appears that they are not taking sufficient steps to protect civilians when they're providing that urgent assistance. So it is becoming increasingly difficult for them to establish their position.
So, Toby, how does international law differentiate between intent and negligence? And what impact does it have when it comes to prosecution and accountability?
Well, certainly it will be a matter to look at what steps they've taken to establish effective control over the civilian population, that effective measures are put in place. Now, if they are exposing civilians to military attacks coming from Israel, obviously there is a big distinction between intentionally targeting and putting civilians at risk of being targeted by the military, and that will come down to the circumstances and the evidence surrounding each individual attack. But what we are seeing very clearly is that they are not taking sufficient steps, if not being directly involved. Of course, it always boils down to the circumstances on the ground. But as we know, there have been investigations into these attacks. There have been very clear allegations made by the United Nations. The Secretary General has also spoken about this, that they are actively involved, and that there are very real risks that they are not providing sufficient care, which imposes a form of criminal liability.
Right. Even if all this is true or proven to be true, do you think the accountability mechanisms we have now, such as the International Criminal Court, the UN inquiries, do you see these as fit for purpose? Can you see them hold the GFF or its staff accountable at any point?
Well, I mean, that's a really important case in point. I mean, what we have right now is two senior leaders of the the Prime Minister and the former Defence Minister, who are both facing arrest warrants, and the US has imposed sanctions on the ICC. We've seen just yesterday one of the senior prosecutors resigned because of fear of sanctions. So, if it's being frustrated at that level, one has to ask the question as to whether they are able to go against a group such as the GHF, which has very, very clear political connections to both the US and Israel. So it is, as an international lawyer, asking ourselves this question every day as to how we can move forward to a system of implementation and execution of these international standards, which we're just not seeing. And we keep saying that if this was happening anywhere else in the world, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. Unfortunately, we are having this discussion on a daily basis. There is a complete vacuum of accountability, but as we know, that doesn't last forever. We see world leaders, former leaders, brought before the courts and effectively prosecuted, and so we have to hope that is what will happen. But it's very difficult to convince those that are caught up in the conflict that there will be a system of accountability, because right now there isn't.
OK, Toby, thank you for explaining that to us. Toby Cadman, international human rights lawyer, specialist in the field of war crimes.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.